Hello, 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 gorgeous unicorns. How are you guys doing today? Hopefully the answer is great, because you're about to bring me something that I have been searching for. So those of you that have landed on this video, chances are you have read the title, and if not, here's the topic, and you're here for that reason. So I do not need to go in too deep and elaborate. So we'll get right into the what and a little bit of elaboration, so you can see where you're at, I guess, in a way, and you can feel comfortable leaving the comments and sharing with me how you feel about this topic. So the topic for today is the attack on the human soul is real. So that's what we're going to talk about, that the attack on the human soul that we're feeling right now. It is very, very, very real. So all the fear that you are experiencing, all the anxiety that you're experiencing, all the feeling down that you're experiencing, depression you might be experiencing, and I separate those two a little bit, because even though they can fall under the same category, depression is more of a serious condition as opposed to seasonal depression, which we all have. And if it's not dealt with, if you don't find a way how to look at it in the way that it is actually serving you, then that seasonal depression can extend into all 4 seasons, okay? But today we're going to be talking about this attack on the soul. Social media is a huge source of this attack. And I will say this without going into much detail on what the attacks are, that are felt globally and by everyone. No one is immune to this, but there are many people who know what to do to not allow that to take over their whole entire life, because it can happen like this as well. Because little by little, the heaviness becomes heavier and heavier and heavier if it's never dealt with. So now I'm all about, here's what you can do about it, and you are the person that gets to decide how you internalize that information, how you apply that information, and what you do with the information that I provide. So all I do is I give you the information, and literally the rest is up to you. You can do absolutely nothing about it and with it, or you can actually decide what you're going to do and then not necessarily worry about the how, because the how will happen naturally, but just identify the first step or the first few steps of what you're going to do. So first and foremost, as I mentioned, the social media. The social media is a huge, huge, huge drain on our soul. It is a huge drain of our energy. And most of us don't actually fully understand just how big of a drain it actually is. And I will use an example of talking about the subconscious mind and the conscious mind to help you understand what actually happens. So when our subconscious mind is designed in the way to keep us safe, so that way it filters the information that we consciously see and hear, right, in experience. But the subconscious mind has the record of everything in there, which means that when you go to social media and you are literally just scrolling through social media, just scroll through without stopping at any post on anything, and then you close it, chances are you're going to feel different than you did before going in there. By the way, I'm loving this twinkling lights, and it just adds to the lights that I already have. It makes them twinkle, which is really nice, and I don't know, it makes me feel like a fairy. Anyways, So what happens is your subconscious mind in that moment has taken stock of everything you have just scrolled through. It takes records of everything. It's like snapshots of everything, even though you're not consciously aware of it. And that is why you walk away then feeling a certain way. So that is why the feedback loop is extremely important if you want your soul to be at peace. And it doesn't take much time for you to do that, but you're the only one that can do this. And what you gotta do is sit down with yourself and a notebook with a pen. I always recommend blue pen. In this case, I have a marker. This marker I actually use to highlight the things that I have done on my list, so I can very clearly see what's done and what's not done, and then that way I do the things that are not done without looking through it, because a line doesn't really stand out to me as much. But anyways, blue pen on blue paper, if you're able to, the blue lined, because it speaks to the subconscious mind that much more. So what I want you to do is I want you to sit down and write down everything that goes into your feedback loop. Okay, so that will be the things that you watch, everything that you watch. Okay, anything that is a moving picture. So it might be videos on your socials, or it might be Netflix, or it might be Funimation, or might be Disney Plus, or whatever it is that you're watching, shows, movies, anything that is moving picture. Okay, I want you to just write them down. Doesn't necessarily have to be the actual movie, just the platform itself. So for example, maybe you spend a lot of time on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and all of them you watch videos, including reels, they're videos as well. Or perhaps you really enjoy Netflix or Disney Plus or Funimation or any of the platforms that Amazon Prime as well, right? And I know there's many other ones. Those are just the ones we use. So list those platforms that you use, and then I want you to write how often you use it and for how long you use it for, because it will help you to identify where you spend the time and how much time you spend. And then if you're able to, you might know the answer to this question or not, but identify how you feel after each platform that you use. And then I want you to actually go and spend some time on these platforms. I'm talking more about the social platforms, because on the platforms where you're just watching movies, there will be a little bit of a different approach where you just get to decide, take the time to decide. I guess let's just finish those. Take the time to decide how much time you want to spend on them on a daily basis and on a weekly basis. But first identify how much you spend time on them now and how much you want to. Right, so, and then that would be your ideal and where you are now, and the ideal of how much time you want to spend, and find a time somewhere in between the two to ease yourself into the limiting amount of time that you spend watching these things that are not not motivating you, not inspiring you, not fueling you, not helping you to feel good. Usually scary things that are full of drama are the ones that don't help us, but yet we can learn a lot from them. So I don't want you to completely stop. So those things, I know there was many things that came to mind as well as I was talking and thinking. I can do both at the same time. Yeah. This is always going. So, and then with social media, this is what you can do with social media. What I would like you to do, what I would suggest for you to do, but at the end of the day, you decide. So it would be looking through your social media, and you can do that every day, and identifying. Did you finish your sentences? Can I see them? Thank you. Who wants to play video games? Ooh, sparkly. Nice. Oh, matching my shirt too. Anyways, so you can do this a little bit every day. As you go through your social media, anything that does not help you to feel in the ways that I mentioned, anything that, just let's talk about it, positive and negative, the easiest way. If you feel negative about something, this is the stuff that I want you to address. This is the stuff that I want you to think about and question, understand why you feel that way. And if it is no longer aligning with you, I want you to get rid of it, right? Whether it's unfriend or unfollow, or some social platforms allow you to snooze these people for a certain amount of days. I think it's 30 days. The other option is, because when you unfollow them, I believe that they might not see, depending on the platform. But at the end of the day, don't feel bad about cleaning your space, because this is what you're going to be doing. You're going to be cleaning your space with all of them. You missed one sentence. Sorry.
Can you still do the corner?
Yes, here, take the pencil. So going through everything and cleaning out the space, including the people in your space, is going to make a huge difference. Actually, Bethany and I, we're going to be talking about this topic on Wednesday. Today's Monday, yeah, Monday. So we're going to be talking about on this topic on Wednesday. The topic is it's time to grow and evolve. Dead weight needs to be shed. And we'll talk about unhealthy relationships. It will be mainly with people and around people to help you to identify those that are serving you, those that are not. Everything that I'm talking about right now is a huge part of the attack on the soul. I know there's a lot more to it, but right now, this is the things that I want you to take some time to identify. Okay? Now, where do you go from here on? Right? You're taking the time to identify the things that are working for you, the things that are not working for you, things that are building you up, things that are anabolic energy that builds up, or things that are catabolic, things that are destroying you and destroying your soul and eating at you, and are a drain. Okay, so that's catabolic energy. And once you identify those things, it feels liberating. It feels freeing. It feels like you actually lose some of that dead weight. And then once you start taking the steps in dealing with it, you'll feel better and better and better. There also might be days when you might not feel as great, but those are the days that I want you to take for yourself and to really think. Take the time to think. A lot of us don't take the time to think. We think it's not important, but it actually is extremely important when it comes to thinking clearly and living the life on purpose and by design, your purpose and your design. So those are the things that I mentioned. And as well as afterwards, then what do you do? Right? So I want you to have to come up or create, or maybe you already have one, a small little routine that will help you to become the best version of yourself.
Too sexy for my love. Yep. Too sexy for.
That's my ringtone. I forgot to put my phone on vibrator silent, but that's the ringtone I have for my hubby. So, anyways, where were we? So, the best version of yourself. What does that actually mean? So, what it means is I want you to identify what that is. And most importantly, the things that I actually we're going to be talking about without going in, and helping you to identify how that would happen. I have a feeling you might know. If not, let's chat and then we can figure something out. And so this is what I want you to do. I want you to incorporate these things in your little program, in your little schedule that you're going to have for yourself, the things that you're going to do that are important to you. And if not, I'm going to use the word should. That should be important to you, especially if you feel like, chances are, the reason why you're still here is because you still feel like there's an attack on your soul, and these are the things that you got to do. You have to prepare yourself for the future. And in preparing yourself for the future, everything that makes you a human needs to be considered. Because the attack on the soul is actually attack on the mind and the mindset. And this is the biggest struggle of and for all of us. Every single human being that I have talked to, that I have met, that I know, struggles with their mindset one way or another. When I say one way or another, I mean from 1 to 100. Being 100 is being, I can no longer deal with this, I need out, and looking for ways to get out of this quest called life, of this journey called life, to 1 being the seasonal depression. Okay? Whether it's the winter season, whether it's the summer season, or the spring, or the fall, or just the monthly season of the female cycle. That could be it as well. And the way to protect yourself is, it starts with knowing yourself, which does take some time. It's not something that you're going to magically know overnight. But take the time to know who you are. And then also identify who you want to be. And now the distance in between, do not punish yourself for being here and wanting to be here, or being here and wanting to be here. Don't punish yourself for who you currently are, because that's not who you are, right? You are that individual that's continuing to strive towards becoming the one that you want. And in doing so, every second, you are no longer the person that you were a second ago. Every second you move closer to this person. So why punish yourself and beat yourself up for the person that you were in the past? A second ago, I'm not the person that I am now that I was a second ago, or whenever I started this video, the minutes ago. I am a different person. I'm a more evolved person. I've grown by simply expressing myself, by talking, by, working on myself and for myself, and sharing this journey with you all. So that's where it starts. It starts with identifying and knowing who you are. And then you would go with, who you want to be. And in that, everything that makes us human goes under the umbrella, which is your health, your mental health, your physical health, your I think those are like really the main ones, but the spiritual health is huge as well, and I think that's all. I can't think of any other ones at the moment on the fly, but those are the main ones. And right now there's a huge attack on the spirit, on the soul, and it's important to spend time on healing the soul, whatever that means to you. So to you, it might be meditating, or it might be going to church. It might be also the next one, which is your health. That might be how you connect spiritually and heal your spirituality. And taking care of your health and your mental health will help your spiritual health as well. By taking care of just the health itself, it will help you in all the other areas, right? So it's important to focus on all the different parts, but initially start with one. Hey Todd, thanks for hopping on. How are you doing? It's been a minute since we chatted. How's your puppy doing? Or puppies? I think you got one or maybe a couple. So back to, what do you do now with healing yourself and protecting yourself? You got to take the time, like I said, to identify who you are, and then in doing so, that future you What is he or she eating, drinking, not eating and drinking? I want you to identify the things that you want to avoid, and then the things that you want to incorporate. And then with your fitness, with your physical health, exercise is important. So what are you doing every day that is going to build your physical health? You know, when and if, hopefully not, the time comes and you got to stand up for yourself and for your family, what kind of shape do you want to be in? Right? Because a lot of people talk about the doomsday, and that is a negative feedback loop that should be avoided as much as possible. But at the same time, it is important to pass the messages, and I understand that. But if it's affecting you in a very negative way, then it's important to take the time for yourself to identify that and no longer feed that loop, right? No longer stay in that loop. But prepare yourself physically so that way, no matter what happens, you are ready physically. And then the mental health and emotional health as well, and the spiritual health. Hey Rachel, how are you doing? Thank you. Thank you for calling me beautiful. It's the sparkles. And this filter. I love this filter. It kind of dims my lights a little bit, but makes them sparkle and glimmer more, which is really pretty. And then my eyes as well. So thank you. I think like that is the root of all the struggles and all the mental struggles and physical struggles, is taking care of ourselves, spending time on ourselves, with ourselves. It's so important, and unfortunately this is not something that has been taught to us in schools. That's not something I learned in school at all. But that is something that needs to be incorporated in schools. I have actually noticed it in my daughter's classes, and she's in grade 7, that they are starting to talk about mental health and New Year resolution, which I was sitting there and I was listening to the teacher because I do that as well, and I help people to do that as well. Actually stick to it, whereas the teachers, they don't help the students stick to it. It's something that they help them do, and then going forward they don't have the system in place for them to actually achieve that goal that they set out for themselves to do. Rachel says, I was talking about your soul, but also love the filter. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I believe that every one of us, and especially those that will be watching this video and those that are watching this video, have a beautiful soul and are struggling with something that is hurting that soul. And we feel it very deep. We can feel it in our body. And it feels, I'm curious to hear what it feels like to you, that attack on the soul that you might be experiencing, have experienced, or are experiencing on any level of the strength of it, right? On a scale of 1 to 100. What it might be that's causing you to feel that way, and where are you actually feeling that? For me, I feel it in my heart. My heart starts to ache. It feels like sadness that isn't mine, and yet it is mine, because the sadness, the grief that we're feeling, that individuals feeling all around the world, we all feel it, because that is energy. When somebody feels a certain way, and right now, like I said, there is an attack on the human soul, and when we feel that attack on our soul, that energy transfers. And some of us, actually all of us, are able to transfer that energy all across the world, but just talking about the aura, like 5 feet around us. And if somebody comes into our space, they take that energy on like that without even realizing it. And a lot more of us have started going through and continue to go through spiritual awakenings. And spiritual awakenings is the times when we feel extremely heavy, drained, mentally weak and a little bit unstable, and we feel like what the heck is going on? What do I do? Why do I feel like that? And yes, it is us that feel it, but it's also the world as well. So Rachel says, teaching our kids how to heal themselves is so important. 100% agree with you, because if we don't teach them, they might never learn how to do that. And the younger our children are when we do that, the higher their chances of that becoming part of who they are early on in their years, and continue to be that as they grow, as opposed to starting that journey when we're 30 years old, like it happened for me, where I tried to avoid it and I was just really forced into the whole awakening process, and it was extremely painful and disorienting, but I figured my way through it. And I've also hired help through most of that, the biggest part of that, because there's only so much I could have done on my own. And to keep myself accountable, it's really, 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 really hard to do. So, and then Rachel continues, for me, everything gets so heavy. Yeah. I've never been one to sit still. And the past 2 weeks, I have had no motivation to do anything. And it is so strange. A lot of people are feeling that way, and I want to say thank you for using the word heavy, because that's how it feels, right? That's why the topic for tomorrow that Rachel, because I'm talking to Rachel, that Bethany and I will be talking about, that it's time to grow and evolve, and that dead weight needs to be shedded. Everything that I talked about is the dead weight, the feeling of the heaviness. That is the dead weight that we're carrying, that quite often is not ours. So taking the time to identify is important. And if you're not used to, sitting still, Rachel, I'm sure you have the tools that help you to get those, that information that you need while you're being active. And the past 2 weeks, because this is the new year. So the new year, here's what my intuition is telling me right now. And it's this, that in the new year, everyone is so eager to start the new year, new me, new fresh year, new me, new version of myself, and so on. And there's a feeling to it that comes with this thought, and the feeling is this is just going to happen on its own, that I will wake up and it will be that way. And that I know, the moment that the clock hits 12, I am going to feel like I'm meant to feel as that new person that I desire to be. And not everyone takes that action. And then they start to feel heavy and heavier because they're not taking that action. And then that energy transfers. And we get to all feel and experience that as we are all connected. We might not see the connections clearly. Some of us are actually able to see the little strings that we're all connected through, but we are all connected. Every human being is connected to one another. Just like, I think it's pronounced celium system. Don't quote me on this, but if you agree, the documentary that can help you to really see these connections that I'm talking about, that we humans have as well, we just can't see it that clearly, but it's Magic Fungi or something fun guy. It's on Netflix. The feedback loop, that one is a good feedback loop. watching documentaries is something that can help you to connect the dots for yourself and for the world that you're living in as well. And we each live in, we live in one world, but we each live in our own world, which is self-created and self-fulfilled, consciously or unconsciously. And for most of us, it is unconscious. And also, so Rachel also says, also being super reactive. Yes. So when you're feeling heavy, when you're feeling off, when we're feeling sick, when we're not feeling well, when our energies are out of balance, when our chakras are out of alignment, we can feel, it's like pufferfish. That's a perfect example. We can feel like the pufferfish. Anything that comes close to us, we are a lot more sensitive and a lot more irritable and a lot more reactive and a lot less responsive. So in that moment, what do you do, Rachel? What do you do in that moment when you feel that way, especially with your kids? Next, when you say, I'm only now learning how to heal myself and am teaching my daughter right along with me. That is, I love hearing that. And that is so beautiful that you are learning yourself and applying what you are learning as you go. And you're learning it for the second time as you're applying it for yourself and for your daughter as well. So that is a really, really, really beautiful approach, actually, because one of the tips about learning that I love to share is when you learn something new, go teach someone else, go help someone else with what you've learned. But first make sure that they're open to it. So ask for permission. With our kids, you ask them for permission, they'll be like, yeah, yes, mommy, please teach me, please help me. Our kids don't turn us away. Very rarely they would. And if they do, rephrase it, reframe it, and come back and ask them again. Okay, find a way to ask your kids so that way they say yes, because you need their buy-in. You need to make sure that they're on board, that they want this information, that it's not unsolicited. And so when you are learning something new, go and teach it to someone, because you get to learn it twice. And if you go teach someone else that again, you get to learn it 3 times. And the more that you share that information, the more of that information actually stays with you consciously. So there. Thank you. I think that kind of wraps up the whole entire thing that I was talking about. Because one of the most important things that you can do, that too many of us forget to do, is to apply what you learn. Apply what you learn. Be a learner, which is great, but too many of us, we get stuck in this loop of learning, and not doing anything about it, not taking the action on it. So the action part is the most important ingredient. It's like my favorite example is that I use with a few people, and including myself, because this was a realization that I had, that I wanted to have this strong, powerful body that involves a lot of work. And I was watching these videos of how to get that body, and it clicked. I'm like, how can I possibly have that body by just watching the videos? You can't. You gotta take that action. So the missing ingredient, the missing piece of that puzzle is taking that action. A little bit, if it feels too big, find a smaller step. If the step that you're thinking right now of taking, take a smaller step that doesn't feel as big and scary. Start with where you're comfortable, but not fully comfortable, because once you do that action, your comfort level will grow, your confidence will grow, you will grow, and a lot of things will, it'll have a ripple effect in every part of your life. So when we work on ourselves, and this is what I want to leave everyone with, is in relationships, whether it's a relationship with yourself, relationship with a friend, family member, or with a device. It's still a relationship, or with a business, or with something. We often want and expect and think that the only way that things will change if the other person, if the other thing changes. For example, in a relationship, I hear this all the time. And my husband is trying to really reach me as I am on a call. I guess I'm gonna have to really go. So, really quick. In a relationship, we really often, like I said, so what I hear when what I see is that individual that I have a conversation with, they think that the only way things will change is if the other person changes. That they don't have to do anything but just provide the information to that other individual, and they will change, and then the relationship will change. That is not how it works. That is not how any kind of relationship that we want to fix works. We gotta start with ourselves. Do what you want to do. Do the things that will bring you closer to your dream life, to your dream self, to your dream vision, to your dreams. Work on yourself. Focus on yourself, and yourself only 99% of the time. Because the other 1%, when you have kids, you can help them as well. And of course, you kind of have to, right? Can't fully run away from that responsibility. So yeah, by focusing on yourself, everything else will change. Everything else will shift in your business. This is the other thing I hear often is, I'm waiting to feel motivated. I'm waiting to feel inspired. I'm waiting to feel like I'm ready to work on my business and build my business. That ain't gonna happen. Tried it, it doesn't work. Many people have tried just sitting there and waiting for that motivation, for inspiration to just come. And there are times that it does, but it's short-lived. And if you want it to stay, this is when you actually have to do something about it. You gotta take the action, and you gotta do something about it every single day until it becomes a muscle. Motivation, inspiration is a muscle that can very easily be trained and built. So you don't have to then work on it every single day and overwork it. Of course, you still have to exercise it every single day. Otherwise, if you don't exercise a muscle, it takes, 7 days to lose your muscles? I think it's 7 days or 14 days. I can't remember the number. But I know it's pretty quick. Pretty quick when your muscles start to deteriorate and weaken. So mindset and different parts of the mindset are muscles as well. So that is all. Last thing that Rachel says, I like that. Asking her permission gives her the choice, and she will own it. Thank you. Yes, and that is what I try to get across to everyone I speak with as much as I can, because quite often people find themselves in a situation where they are trying to help their friend or family member or somebody, and they're not taking their suggestions. So by asking permission, it allows us to also get, like I said, a buy-in that they're ready, they want it. Once they want it, then they can do what they want with it. Right? So that is all. I am going to go and call my husband, because clearly he's probably on his way home and really excited to tell me that he's going home early. That's it. That is all that I have for you guys for today. Hopefully this was a great video, and if you liked it, thank you, Rachel. Glad that you caught this today, and I'm glad that you caught this as well, so that way I'm talking to someone. It's a lot more fun, a lot more interactive talking to somebody as opposed to talking to myself, which is, of course, great once in a while as well. But having somebody else on the other side, it allows me to feel that what I'm bringing has value, and it's actually needed. That there is a need for it. So thank you. And as I was saying, if you like what you see, you, Rachel, and everybody else who's watching it at a later point, please feel free to share it with anyone that you know might benefit from this information, because I agree with you, Rachel. It is so needed. This information is really needed. And I feel like it is very widely available. And that is one of the biggest reasons why I was staying off my social media and doing live videos, because I was feeling like I was living in my bubble where I know that this information is available to everyone, but not everyone is able to access it, right? Because that information is in the universal knowledge, the Akashic records, or the DOC system. We all refer to it differently, but it's the universal knowledge that is gathered in the clouds, if you will, that we all have access to. But not everyone even believes in that. So yeah, anyways, that is all. Thank you. And until tomorrow I might go live, but Wednesday, if you want to join me live, it will be in the Empath Unicorn Academy Facebook group that I have. We stream the video live in there via Zoom. And if you think I have a lot of great information to offer, Bethany has just as much, if not more, information to offer as well. So thank you. And until next time, bye everybody, and bye Rachel.